Плюнь в рот, блядь. Ой, ой, ой!
It's super frustrating to miss an exit, and on long roads like the G25 in China, it can be even more so. On April 8, 2018, a white sedan zoomed past their exit, and instead of heading to the next one, did something really dangerous and thoughtless. After missing the exit, the sedan stopped right in the middle of the highway and cut across another lane. This sudden move forced an oncoming truck to swerve and overturn. But the sedan driver didn't stop to check on the truck driver. They just drove off towards their missed exit. This action led to another truck losing control and flipping over, almost hitting the sedan yet again. The sedan driver showed no concern and continued on, leaving behind a mess. Unbeknownst to them, fuel started leaking from the second truck, posing a risk of a fire on the highway. Thousands of shipping containers that carry stuff like your morning coffee, new tires, or the latest phone move around the world every day. They're really important for getting things where they need to go. But when something goes wrong, it can cause big problems. Georgetown, the 8th largest city in Malaysia, is home to around 160,000 people. At some point, almost everyone in the city has crossed the famous Weld Key Bridge, a pedestrian bridge over 45 years old that provided access to the ferry over a highway. Sadly, the bridge didn't make it past 2020. On February 5th, a truck traveling down Weld Key Road tried to go under the bridge with a crane on its bed, misjudging the bridge's height. Although the truck's cab made it through, the crane did not. As the truck neared the bridge, it looked like it would pass underneath without issue. But the crane's last part snagged on the bridge. The truck stopped abruptly, and the bridge was nearly brought down. Fortunately, no one was on the bridge at the time. The damage to the bridge was so severe that repair was impossible without closing Welkie Road, a major artery too vital to be shut down. The decision was made to demolish the bridge within the next 24 hours. Instead, the city calculated the destruction's cost and billed the trucking company responsible. The port of Valencia ranks as the 5th busiest port in Europe. It handles more than 80 million tons of cargo annually, transporting a wide range of items like phones, cars, spices, plastics, chemicals, and plenty of on September 11th, 2020. An incident occurred where a container filled with red wine started leaking. What might have seemed like a scene from an ancient Egyptian curse was really just a costly mistake. It's unclear what led to the leak in the wine container. The real puzzle might be why it was filled with wine to begin with. Usually, wine bottles are packed into cases, loaded onto pallets, and then placed into the container. It's possible there was a huge plastic bladder filled with wine inside the container, and something that punctured the container might have also torn the bladder. If that happened, it's a sign that the method of shipping wine needs to be reevaluated. Teton Pass is a high, twisty road that cuts through the mountains in southwestern Wyoming. The route has long stretches that go downhill as it winds through the mountains, making it a risky spot for brake failure. Because of this, a lot of money is put into creating escape routes for vehicles that lose control. On July 13th, 2021, the Wyoming Department of Transportation did a test on one of their newest designs for these emergency ramps. A truck weighing 58,000 pounds was driven down the pass at high speed. Luckily, with a skilled stunt driver at the controls, Arnold Korb Mocker, the stunt driver, carried out the test flawlessly. The innovative design effectively halted the truck without causing significant damage or harming the driver. Typically, these escape routes use long pits filled with sand to stop out-of-control trucks. However, these stops can be abrupt and forceful, potentially damaging the vehicle and injuring the driver. This novel approach, officially known as a truck arrestor, employs steel nets to capture and gradually slow down the truck. It's somewhat reminiscent of Spider-Man halting a runaway train. These nets are connected to containers embedded in the concrete barriers. Within these containers are rolls of steel netting designed to deploy sequentially. As one roll is expended, the next one takes over, ensuring A. Santa Marta, located on the northern coast of Colombia, is a historic city founded in 1525 by the Spanish conqueror Rodrigo de Bastidas, making it one of the earliest Spanish settlements in the New World. The city's port has been active since its establishment. However, on November 16, 2013, a ship entering the port experienced significant difficulties due to a minor mistake. It caused considerable damage. The incident occurred when a bulk carrier was trying to dock at around 6:30 in the morning. The captain misjudged his maneuver, trapping a smaller boat between his vessel and a container ship already moored at the port. As the situation deteriorated, the bulk carrier drifted into the dock and almost crushed a smaller pilot boat. Port workers rushed to check for injuries and moved the smaller boats out of harm's way. Despite their efforts, the large ship continued its turn and completed a full 180 degrees. While the smaller boats managed to get away, one was so severely damaged that it sank overhead. Footage later captured two small boats equipped with tires along their sides. The Kiel Canal, an important waterway in northern Germany, links the North Sea with the Baltic Sea. Located around 75 miles south of Denmark's border, it facilitates the passage of approximately 32,000 ships annually. On August 24, 2011, a situation unfolded in the canal involving two ships that seemed to be in a hurry. Initially, it might look like we're viewing a recording of another recording, but it's actually live footage. As the two ships approached each other, the camera person dashed to the deck just in time to capture the smaller ship making a sharp turn to the right, barely avoiding a head-on collision with the large container ship by its front end. However, the turn was too sharp, and the back end of the smaller ship ended up hitting the larger one. This smaller ship, a 226-foot tanker named Jana, managed to bounce off the larger vessel and continue on its way. Subsequent footage from the container ship, a 456-foot vessel named Hempa, showed bent pieces of red metal near its cargo hold. Contrary to initial thoughts of impatience causing the crash, it was revealed by the shipwreck log that Jana had suffered a rudder failure, which led to the collision with Hemkepa. Fortunately, there were no injuries reported from either ship, though the Jana was transporting 1,000 tons of biodiesel, highlighting the potential for a more disastrous outcome if the collision had been more severe. Oliver Inlet in Miami, Florida, is well known for being a particularly treacherous stretch of water. Numerous boaters have experienced damage to their vessels or faced dangerous situations there, largely due to the inlet's challenging conditions. The difficulty arises because the tide pulls the water out while the wind drives it back in.
No. Keep it running. Hey, tell them to keep it running. Hey, keep it running. Keep it running. Do not turn it off.
Luckily, they managed to push the truck enough for it to grip the ground and drive out of the water. Although the interior ended up waterlogged, the owner was relieved that the truck wasn't completely ruined. Our cameraman advised the owner not to shut off the engine, and here's why. If the exhaust pipe is underwater, there's a risk that water could flow back into the engine and flood it. However, if the engine keeps running, the expulsion of gas helps prevent water from entering. If water does make its way into the engine, it can fill the cylinders, leading to a stall, a situation known as a hydraulic lock. Attempting to restart the car after this can severely damage the engine. In the end, dealing with water damage to the car's interior is far less costly than having to replace the entire engine. Aarhus, Denmark's second largest city, is not only among the oldest cities in the country, tracing back to the Viking era, but it's also a modern community of approximately 280,000 residents. In 2013, Aarhus distinguished itself by becoming the world's first local authority to generate 25% of its energy from wind power. Marking a significant achievement in sustainable energy use. However, reaching this milestone of 25% wind energy. Thanks for joining. Stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos.